everybody. Thank you for joining us today. This is, I think, a sixth episode in the planets of the Planets Transits in 2024 series. Today, I have Tom with me. We're going to talk about Pluto. I'm so excited. For everybody who is here for the first time, my name is Jasmina from Jasmina Positive Astrology. I'm a modern astrologer at your service. Hi, Tom. How are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New
It's good to
Year.
be here.
Yes, I'm trying to go live on Instagram, so we'll see if that goes well or not. We'll see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, Tom, before we start digging deep into Pluto,
Mhm.
um, tell us, where can people find you? What are you up to with astrology these days?
So you can find me on Ninth House Notebook on Instagram. I am currently just learning a lot, partly through experience. I think something I've really enjoyed recently is reflecting on uh, the sort of transits as they're happening and like noticing what's happening in my life and in other people's life, which
Mhm.
obviously I guess we all do, as astrologers, but I've been particularly kind of paying attention to that recently. And even though I'm not posting much at the moment, because I have a lot going on, I'm still in my foundation course
Okay.
for traditional astrology.
Mhm.
I am hoping to be back to posting things on there because I love doing it. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, as I told you just before we started, I really miss your posts and everything. You
Mm.
get hooked on some people, and you're like, oh, where are they? What's happening? I want to know.
Yeah, you're like, where are they? I have that as well, and you're like, where? And you want to message them like, are
Yeah.
you okay? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually do that most of the time. I knew you were busy
Mhm.
because we talked about this, but usually I'm like, is everything okay? Just, say hi so we know you're
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Mm.
Okay, amazing. So I know, let's start. Before we start talking about Pluto in 2024, I know everybody's very excited. It's a big change. It's coming into Aquarius. It's going to be here for a long time. Um, can you just tell for everybody who doesn't know, what is Pluto in general? What does Pluto represent as a planet? What kind of energies? What is it?
So I think one thing that's really interesting, especially with the outer planets,
Yeah.
so Uranus and Neptune and Pluto,
Mhm.
um, as well as others, it's really interesting to look at the time when it was discovered because I feel like it gives you a good sense of what was going on at the time. So
I
Pluto
agree.
was discovered in 1930, and
Hmm.
so if you think about what was happening at that time, a lot of things were sort of coming to the surface. It was a time of war, a time of power, power
Yeah.
struggles. That was the time when you had like the rise of Hitler and these sort of
Mhm.
prominent tyrannical figures. So that's why,
Mhm.
it's really interesting to think about Pluto in terms of power.
Mhm.
Also at the time, and I've been thinking about this a bit more in preparing to speak with you, because uh, I'm training in psychology, and I work as a psychologist, and um, psychology, I would say, is very much associated with Pluto,
Yes.
because around that time you had
Mhm.
figures like Freud and Jung and these depth psychologists, and even that term depth psychology
Right.
were coming to the forefront, and we were thinking more about the subconscious and the unconscious
Mhm.
parts of our mind. And so, yes, so interesting that at that time Pluto was being discovered because it really speaks to what is underneath, what is in the underworld of our minds and our psyche and our soul, and trying to sort of bring that to the surface, whether that is a pleasant experience or not. Pluto doesn't care about that. It's just like, let's find out what's under there and let's bring it up and see what happens. And
Absolutely.
I think that then because of that, Pluto can be a very transformative experience. And again, if you think about the world in 1930, it was a huge transformation.
Mhm.
I think that the world, especially going into sort of like the Second World War, like a lot of people would say there was like the world before then and the world after. It was sort of this huge transformative
Yes.
period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have to mention the big crash of the stock markets, like the big recession hit, like all the wealthy people lost a lot of money, which is also
Mm,
Pluto
mm,
transforming the wealth among
mm,
others. And I do hope, since um, Pluto is in Aquarius now, and like you mentioned, psychology was just discovered. It was becoming mainstream more,
mm,
and recognized as a part of the scientific, in science world, right? So I do hope that
mm.
astrology with this Pluto and Aquarius will have the same path, and as psychology did in 1930s, because I
Yes.
think astrology deserves the same.
Yeah.
It's very similar, right? Because it
Mm,
was so unknown back then, right? The
mm.
dreams and stuff, like what is that? But now it's part of science. So I hope astrology, or we can find maybe new ways to measure and prove as astrology works, because we all know it works. We don't know why, but we know it does.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure we will talk about this more today, but
Mhm.
the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius was the end of the 1700s. And that was the time when it was the scientific revolution.
Yes.
You had key figures and key breakthroughs around like looking at the world from a scientific point of view. And
Yeah.
that has become such a dominant kind of part of our culture and part of the way that we think. And I think that science has so much to offer, but I would
It
personally
is.
argue that it's become the only way to look at things. We look at things through that, and every other sort of way of looking at things seems like, well, why would you look at it that way when you could look at it from a scientific point of view? And I
Yeah, but
hope, I agree. I hope that this going back into Pluto and Aquarius could be a time
Mhm.
for uh, discovering a new way of looking at things. That's what Aquarius is great at. It's experimenting. It's like, yeah, let out with the old, in with the new. Let's
Right.
stop looking at
and,
things
and
like that. Let's look at it like this instead.
yeah, and we know that Uranus was discovered while Pluto was in Aquarius, so it was beyond our boundaries. Like we thought Saturn, that's it, that's our world, like that's our universe, and then oh my god, there's more. So I
Mm.
do really believe that we're gonna go beyond, in that sense, that our universe is gonna expand literally in next 20
Yes.
years.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
people think I'm crazy. Some people think I'm crazy, when I talk, people who don't understand astrology, and
Mm.
when I tell them like all this, like, what are you talking about? Are you high or something? I said, no, I'm just looking at, anyway. So I do believe it's going to be a huge thing. And Pluto is
Mm.
going to really make also, like, I think Pluto Uranus combination in Aquarius and Gemini, it's going to blow our minds. It's going to be mind blowing. And, in that sense, I feel,
Definitely,
Okay,
definitely.
sorry, I
Also,
interrupted you. Tell me
oh
more
no,
about
it's
Pluto.
fine. I was just going to say I have a non-alcoholic beer with me, and even though it would be very appropriate for me to, it's like a Saturday night, I guess. I just wanted you to know that I wasn't just like
No,
downing
no,
beers
no.
in the background.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I always have my tea in the afternoon, and one of my friends I always drink tea when I have these lives for some reason. And one of my friends told me, "Oh my god, it's so nice. It's so inviting. Like
Mm.
you have this sip, and people like just want to have a coffee with you and sit with you." And I said, "Okay, I never thought about it, but cool."
Yeah, it's nice, and we're in different time zones, so they can, if it's the afternoon when you're watching this, have a tea with Jasmina. If you're in the evening, you can have a drink with me. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Amazing. Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Pluto, so we thought about psychology, depth, and it's everybody tells, this transformation, rebirth, we know about that. But it's really like from a personal experience, I can say it's really transformational. I know it sounds
Mm.
cliche, but it's really like you become a new person when Pluto touches you. After you're not the same person after that. It's like really like a
Mm.
like a snake shading skin, like phoenix raising from the ashes.
Mm.
um Me in my 20s and me in my 40s are two different people, not just because it just, anyway, Pluto did its touch, let's say.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm happy to share. So I've been reflecting on this because,
Mm.
so I'm a Gemini rising. So Pluto has been going through my eighth house for the last 15 years, and I was thinking about what that might mean and what that could,
Mm.
what have I learned in that time. Well, interestingly, around 15 years ago, maybe a bit, yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, around that time when Pluto first went into Capricorn, I had therapy for the first time, which is very
See?
fitting to the 8th house. And it was, I think, really what I've done over the last 15 years is explored a lot of my own anxieties and fears and thought about my relationships to others, but in a very 8th house way, about like, how do I share resources with other people in a way that allows me to keep my boundaries in place whilst also, kind of, so, and that has been such a transformative experience. And the thing with Pluto is it moves so slowly that it's not until we look back and try to kind of really think about that area of our life that we might notice those things. Because whilst we're in it, you might not notice the changes as they're happening.
There you go. Afterwards, yeah. Georgiana says, I agree. After 15 years of having Pluto in my first, now it's going to touch my Moon and Mercury. You're going to be a new person. You're going to be completely, especially if it goes through your first house. Now that we are reflecting, like Pluto was in my 4th house for the last 15 years. I moved at least 10 to 12 times in this last 15 years. My home where I grew up was sold, and I was not able to kind of say goodbye to my home. So like, your childhood home, I can never go back. So it's kind of died, like Plutonian, Interesting how my roots, where I, anyway, it's interesting how that happens, literally. And too many ways. Okay, let's dig in. 2024. So before we go into details, I just have some logistics I want to get done. So Pluto is going to go through 29 of Capricorn until 2 degrees of Aquarius. So everybody who has any placements, angles, or planets in those that area, those 3 degrees, is going to be very highlighted for you. Your transformation is coming. So that's amazing. And currently Pluto is direct, but it's going to go. I'm just quickly going to say this, and then I won't go back. Look at my notes. So many things. So it's going to go back in Capricorn on September. Oh, yeah. So there it is. So Pluto is going to go retrograde on May 2nd and until October 11th. So it's going to go retrograde. It's going to go back to the 29 degrees of Capricorn from September 1st to November 15th, I feel, something like that. So, and then we won't see Pluto in Capricorn for 248 something years. So yeah. So those are technicalities. Everything, I put everything in the description of this video. You can refer later for everybody who's watching later. Okay, that's it. So those are the things. So we have Pluto still in Capricorn. It's going to go in Aquarius on January 21st.
Next week?
That's
end of next
weekend.
week.
That's next weekend, the big weekend. Okay, but you made some notes. You start with what you want first.
Okay, well, we're starting off with a bang. I think it's kind of incredible, isn't it? Because as soon as Pluto moves into Aquarius, it will conjoin the Sun exactly as it does so. So as we enter Aquarius season, Pluto comes together, and I just think that's such an amazing way to begin, because it feels like it is literally shining a light on this. I really get the feeling that this year is going to be a lot about Pluto and Aquarius, because and we'll get to this in a second, but then shortly after, a lot of other personal planets are going to then conjoin Pluto. So it feels like ushering in this new sort of period.
Yeah, it's very powerful weekend, guys, next weekend. So first they're going to meet in Capricorn, 29:59 of Capricorn. And then like less than 12 hours later, they're going to meet like 0 degrees. And they're going to be together in so they're going to, it's so funny because they're going to be together in the 29:59 Capricorn and then 001 in Aquarius. It's just amazing. Sun and Pluto together going through this transformation. Wow.
I don't know why I kind of get this image of like, when they open a new building, like a kind of a museum or something, or and then they're like cutting the ribbon. I feel like it's like that. It's like, here we have Pluto and Aquarius, and then the Sun's come along, like, there we go. It's started now.
Yeah, yeah.
Feels like it is like a grand opening, because we obviously had a taste of Pluto and Aquarius for the first time in a very long time last year.
But
But
it was like 6 weeks or something, not even.
yeah, it was like a
5 weeks.
little taste.
Yeah.
And this feels like, the main course. This is like, okay, we're really getting into things now. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, Sun Pluto together, it's a power bomb. Literally a bomb. So I hope this, I hope we won't see more. I mean, there's so many wars now ongoing and all these fightings.
Mm.
I mean, there can be more, to be honest. That
Yeah.
can, it can mean more of those because it's a bombastic combination,
Yes.
literally, right? So, but in the long run, as you said, Sun is shining on Pluto,
Mm.
and really opening the door, as you said. Here you go, Pluto. It's your time. You're the star.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I was thinking it's like it's new depths, because Pluto is always, whenever we have the Sun conjoining Pluto or any planet in an aspect with Pluto, it's encouraging us to think about what is underneath. But it's like now there's a new depths to explore, that haven't fully been, that over the next 20 years will be more realized as time goes on. And I think for me, when the Sun and Pluto come together, there is an investigative nature, and there's I put about like, yeah, kind of, I feel like the topics of Pluto and Aquarius, everybody's going to be wanting a piece of that and kind of getting into it, whatever that might look like.
Yeah, I mean, Pluto is also secrets, of course. That's why
Oh yes, yeah.
therefore, yeah. So
Mm.
that's why investigation needs, because many hidden things can come out of on surface because Sun is going to shine the light on it. So I'm
Yes.
thinking everything that was buried deep
Mm.
somewhere below. I think we're
Mm.
going to see it. Many things are already revealing, like this. I'm not going to mention any names so we don't get banned on YouTube, but this list that came up because these days you have to be careful. So the list of all these people who were on the specific island came up recently, and then
Yes. Yeah.
right. So many things like that are going to pop up. Um, I heard some astrologers say, I don't know what you think about that, that Sun can represent, the president or somebody in charge, like a ruler king,
Mm.
and then Pluto coming, there can be somebody can get then maybe transformed to another realm. Let's say I don't want to use,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it can be,
Mm.
it can be in that sense. I had to
It
find
could.
something.
Yeah, I like that. I think it could be like a crowning moment for somebody. There could be somebody who, is going to be key figures moving into this new kind of age or this new era.
Yeah,
And there might be people who are, because I'm thinking this is a specific example, and I don't think that Pluto and Aquarius is all about this, but say with AI, that was like a key thing that we noticed last year when Pluto was in Aquarius. Everyone suddenly was talking about AI and what that could mean for humanity, and bringing up a lot of those Aquarian themes. And I think there's going to be key people who are going to be involved in that new
yeah.
stage of kind of, I guess the next sort of stage of technology, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be, it's gonna be a brand new world for sure.
Mm.
I also feel that the Sun with Pluto together, it's about empowerment, and Pluto in
Mm.
Aquarius is about people and community, and not just because Leo is all about kind of me and the one royal, and how Aquarius is about on the other side, like it shows the others, the people, right? So
Yeah.
it could be power to the people, empowerment of the
Mm.
people, like a little seed. Because
Mm.
somebody said it, I don't know who, that this is like a bridge year between the old world and the new world that is coming. So,
Mm.
I'm very curious to see how this
Yeah. And
prevails later, right?
I think that a kind of key phrase for me is, Capricorn is very concerned with like conservation of, it's kind of like it prefers it's in that way, it's like the old,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
it prefers things that are traditional, whereas Aquarius is like the opposite of that in a way. It's always looking for the ideal. It's like saying this isn't good enough, We're not trying to go backwards, we're trying to go forwards. And so I think a key phrase for this year and thinking about Pluto is like out with the old, in with the new. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of values shifting. And potentially in lots of different ways, revolutions is a key word for, and that's something that we saw when Pluto was in Aquarius last time.
Yes, and then as a consequence, we have this collective consciousness is different after this. I think after Pluto touches, especially in Aquarius, because it touches collective, we're really going to have a different type of just looking at the world. I'm thinking last time, as we mentioned, Uranus was discovered. Not everybody was right away, oh my God, the new world. It took time, right? It took time for people to accept, oh yeah, there's something more, like, let's say, after Saturn, or psychology. Like, what is psychology? Dreams. That it took some time to people to accept that as a new reality. But this is going to happen. Like, we're going to have a new reality coming, and on a, I think that it's going to be huge. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And it's interesting, and thinking about Aquarius, I heard someone mentioning recently, actually, that just for example, when the internet was created, we had Neptune and Saturn in Aquarius, these kind of big, slower moving planets. And so we can look to those planets and their transit through Aquarius to see some of the things that come up. It's a sign that wants things to move and progress into completely new ways of thinking about things. And so Pluto coming in now, it's like only going to further those themes.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I talked to other astrologers on other planets, and everything comes back to, we all came to this kind of the same conclusion. The shift is changing. First with the Pluto in Aquarius, then Uranus in Gemini, then Neptune and Saturn going to Aries, and Uranus to Gemini. It's going to be fast forward motion. It's going to be so fast, guys. You can't even imagine. You think you know fast, but I don't think we know fast.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be real fast. Okay, so this is the first big thing, the big bombastic weekend next weekend. So just have that in mind. So what else is happening afterwards with Pluto? What else do you have in your notes?
So then in February, as I was saying, it's like the welcoming party, because then Mercury, Mars, and Venus will all come and conjoin Pluto in that month. So it just really feels like it's gonna be, I'm thinking about Mercury, but it's gonna be all we can talk about with these new ideas. It's funny because you can see how, say, like, again, I want to make it clear that I feel like AI is only one part of the picture.
Yeah,
but
of course.
It was so obvious. It felt like as soon as Pluto entered Aquarius, everyone was talking about it. And then when Pluto left Aquarius and went back into Capricorn, it kind of like calmed down. And so I feel like a lot of these new ideas are going to be coming back into focus and really gaining some steam. You've got Mars in there, who's, our actions and our desires are going to be kind of, and then that's more of a Venusian thing as well. But it's like such a mixing pot, all, coming together to sort of like bring it in.
Yeah. Just to say hello to Sandra as well. So happy to be here. Love all the things Pluto. Yeah, welcome Sandra. Welcome. We love Pluto. I love Pluto. I have it in my first house. It's just
nice.
And it's trying my sun and squaring my Venus. Like, it's very active. Like, it's my Pluto.
And I think something that's really important to mention as well is that this is going to feel really different, because when I was looking at last year, the time when Pluto went into Aquarius, it was around March, April time. And at this point, all of the kind of sort of closer sorry, there's like fireworks going off outside. It's very distracting. So you've these kind of faster moving planets like Mercury and Mars and Venus and the Moon. They had already moved round on the wheel, so they were already like way ahead in Aries, I think, at that point. And when planets come together and they conjoin, it's kind of like I see it as that new moon sort of seeding moment. And when you think about it, this is the first time that these planets are going to experience this seeding moment with Pluto specifically in Aquarius in
Yes.
250 years or something.
Yes.
Like this is the first time that they're going to be like imbued with that Pluto in Aquarius energy.
So yes, you're completely right, and it's all happening in the first half of February, and I think the Valentine's Day is going to be especially crazy with Mars and Pluto conjoining, because it can be, it can be a power struggle. Mars is a
Yeah.
war and power. So I told everybody for this Valentine's, just skip it to next something later when Venus touches Neptune or something, or Jupiter. Yeah, I think it's Venus Jupiter something later. Just don't do it on Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
but I like what you said. So it's like a new beginning. So it's going to touch first Mercury, then Mars, and then Venus, like
Yeah.
in 10 days. Um, Starting a new cycle in Aquarius with them. That's powerful. That's going to be very powerful. And all themes, Aquarian themes, are going to maybe pop up. Not just AI. It can be an environment. It can be revolutions. I'm going to be curious to see if the first beginning of February is going to be a lot of commotion, and people are going to maybe go on the streets as well, or something. Maybe
Yeah,
online.
and
Something online as well. I don't know.
and like we were saying, revolution is a key
Yeah.
theme, and with Mars getting involved and the conjunction there right at the beginning, the sort of 0 degree, that does feel very much like the beginnings of something.
Yeah, I mean Pluto. I mean Aquarius wants to be free, right? That's the number one. So I'm thinking also Venus in Aquarius, free from the relationship that don't work. So it can be with governments, it can be with whatever. So and Mercury, free speech. So there's a bunch of people who feel that they are not free to be who they are, because Aquarius is about being yourself, your unique self, and not pushed in some kind of box. How this is the way you're supposed to be. No. Aquarius, if you tell them this is, they're going to go on the other side, running on the other side. So this is very big concentration of wanted a powerful beginning of February, of wanted to break free in a Plutonian way. That can be.
I mean, I have an Aquarius moon, so I relate to what you just said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I can understand that. Yeah, because it is. I'm thinking, because Uranus is co-ruler of Aquarius, and it's that in that sense, I they don't want to conform. Is that the word? No, they don't want to
Yes,
conform.
conform. Yeah.
That's the word, right? So yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Let's see what else. So guys, watch out for the next weekend and beginning of February.
Yeah, big moments. Yeah.
Yeah. So in March we only have sextiles with Mercury and Sun. So that's nice. That's not a bad. So it's usually, yeah. So it's gonna be easy. I think March is the easiest month of the year, as I was going with others. March is the easiest, is the most calm day of the year, because then the craziness comes with eclipses. So what do you have?
Yes.
What do you have next?
Well, I was just going to say on the sextiles, I think it really feels like, because now with Pluto kind of entering into Aquarius, it's the sextiles will be happening from Aries, and that feels like there's some sense of action. There's something that's like, we had the grand opening in like January, February, and now it's like, okay, things are getting going. You've got the Sun and Mercury, and it's like, yeah, things are kind of there's a sense of movement, I think, by that point. And
Now that you think of it, now I'm thinking maybe February with all these conjunctions, it's going to be like we have to destroy something so we can start building in March with this Aries energy. Like,
yes,
with Pluto, you have to literally destroy everything. There's no gluing back things. No, it's brand new foundations, new things. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a great, and I heard this recently on Nightlight Astrology from Adam Allenbass, who's my teacher as well. And I really like the image of volcanoes for Pluto, because it's like it comes from the depths, where the magma and the fire comes from, and it's destructive, and can be quite scary and fearful around them. But
I like
they
that.
ultimately are a part of a creative process.
Mhm.
They destroy things, but so that then the landscape can kind of like be
Right?
reborn. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. I had to get in touch with him. I need him on one of my talks because I have
Yes.
three of his students. I'm going to tell him, look, I'm talking to three of your students regularly. It's time I
Yeah.
meet you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's a wonderful speaker, and yeah, I really like that image, and I guess maybe like the image of the phoenix as well. Like turning to ash, but then kind of being
Yeah.
reborn. It's
Yeah, but I like it. Yeah, because after volcano, the lava, there's, as you said, there's new soil coming up, which is
Mm,
fertile. So you have to kill something to get fertility.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you very much for that, Tom. Very
Yeah.
good. And then April is coming. Then it's sextile with Venus, and then square to Sun in April.
Mm. Yeah, one thing I put, I realize I keep bringing up AI again, but I think
No, that's fine.
there's something about, and this time last year we had a similar aspect. So
Mhm.
with the sextile to Venus, or kind of, there might not have been a sextile, but definitely whenever there was an interaction between Pluto and Venus,
Yeah.
whilst Pluto was in Aquarius, we had a lot of conversations. It kind of just on the internet and in general around AI art. So there's a lot
Yes.
about how do we, and I think Aquarius encourages us to be experimenting and trying new things, but then because of the Pluto nature, there's a fear of, well, is this going to rob us of our humanity? Is it going to mean that we are, there's machines that create things for us, and we lose touch with our sense of what it means to create as a human?
It might,
Well, I
but
think those are some of the kind of conversations that were coming up when we had the Venus Pluto kind of connections.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's going to be the beauty. I see that. I still don't feel, when all these changes are coming, I don't feel that we can fight them. We have to learn how to
Mhm.
live with them.
Mhm.
And I think if we preserve humanity, and if we stop having wars and actually, be
Mhm.
together as humans, no matter
Mhm.
the anything, the religion or the color of your skin or whatever, if we as humans stick
Mhm.
together and we can work with this AI together. But if
Mhm.
we are always in some kind of conflict and power struggle between us, it's not
Mhm.
going to be hard. I mean, I know also aliens are also a possibility.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they
yeah,
are,
yeah.
with
Mhm.
this coming up thing. It's going to be so unexpected and new. We don't just, there might be contact from other intelligence from
Mhm.
somewhere, and we
Mhm.
might be able to. So as long as we kind of stick together and preserve what humans are, understanding, I think we need to level up in our consciousness and our psychology and our depth, which Pluto Aquarius might help us to understand who
Mhm.
we are as humans. What do we represent? What are we made of?
Mhm.
Why do we live? What we, connection with the earth, with the universe and stuff like that. So more and more, I think astrology and other esoteric
Yeah,
things are going to
yeah,
be,
yeah.
because it's going to give us, because what is astrology, what is this, it's trying to understand how to live in these cycles, the universe, how it works, how we as humans work with it. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't be afraid of AI as long as we preserve and understand who we are and stick together in that sense, and
Yes.
conserve it and nurture it, you
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
not focus on our differences, but what makes us humans, what is the things that glue us together.
Mhm.
What about
Definitely. No, and I agree. And I think that I I think the reason I mention it, because I
you?
think that you can see Pluto the most when you think, what are people scared of right now?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think that a lot of last year, when it was in Aquarius, there was a fear around our humanity. And I think humanity is a key word for Aquarius. So
Right.
everything you just said, I completely agree with.
It,
But
it,
I think
it's a,
that you'll see a lot of people getting scared about, what does this mean? You know, what does this mean for me? People get quite like worried about, I guess it's the fear of that transformation. Pluto wants us to transform, and that transformation process can be scary.
Yeah, because we are losing control. We
Yes.
never had a control. It's an illusion, but still, you kind of
Mm.
sense that we feel that we lose control. And then, but think about when the industrial revolution came in, when the cars came and machines, and people like that was also scary for the people. But you imagine people having a horse and some kind of a little thing that you did in your garden, and all of a sudden this machine comes and then plugs, it does your garden. Like, what is happening? Now for us it's normal, but I feel that for people, for my grandmother, for example, I know that my dad told me his grandmother, when she saw a radio and she heard a voice from the radio, she was like, oh my god, this is like a devil's machine. She was looking behind, who is talking, imagine a box talking, like.
Yeah.
So and now I can't even, with this internet stuff, but I was just thinking it was a huge thing. A radio was a huge thing for consciousness back then. We don't think about it. So we will learn to live with it. I just hope that we don't lose ourselves in the process. That's kind of,
Yes,
um,
definitely.
and Sandra says maybe we will meet our future evolved selves. Yes, that would be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so I think I just think it's interesting to think about how a lot of stuff is going to be brought to the surface, and like you say, it's how are we going to use it in a way that feels like or we meet with it that can help us to evolve, rather than meeting it from a place of fear or trying to use it to further our own ego.
That's why I feel that people like you, especially like you, because you know psychology as well. But I mean, all astrologers, all people healers, people who can help, because many people will need that somebody to lean on, to understand, to listen to their fears. So I think, having some kind of explanation through astrology, or especially, I like that you are a psychologist, and knowing astrology, combining that together, I think that's beautiful. You're going to have your hands full in the next 20 years for sure, because people are going to reach out and they will need and seek, some kind of, they will need that. They will need us.
Well,
For sure.
well, interestingly, Jasmina, my midheaven is, or like my MC is at 0 degrees Aquarius. Yeah.
Look at me. See? Look, I literally have goosebumps. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just felt like you, especially, I don't know, maybe just because, anyway, you're going to be really needed. You especially you, but many, I think many more psychologists will turn to astrology and combination, and in doing this together to help people understand, because psychology won't have
I
the
hope so.
answers anymore. I just feel that psychology won't have the answers anymore for people's questions. It's kind of like those, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
I think I'm preaching too much. I'm going to let you talk more. Okay. My 9th house thallium is coming live today. So May, we have square with Venus, sextile Mars, square Mercury, trine the Sun, trine Venus again. Oh my God, it's going to be very busy Pluto in May.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
what your notes say.
Well, I just think there's this is going to be the point, I think, in May, where we'd start to see a lot of the Plutonian cracks starting to show. If we've kind of ushered it in, and there's been, some kind of nice sextiles and things, and then suddenly there's all of these squares, and the squares are happening from, I think, Aquarius to, will it be it'll be in
Taurus.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be Taurus in May. Yeah.
And I think when we think about, the square between Aquarius and Taurus, I think it's like, and I say this as someone with an Aquarius moon, it's very easy to lose touch with reality. you get so caught up in these ideas of like, oh, what could be, oh, we could do this, we could do that, oh, what if I experiment with this thing or try this thing? And, imagine what humanity could be like, that we then can get very lost in that airy, thoughtful, experimental mindset and lose track with what is actually physically in front of us. And I think that this time, with multiple squares coming from Taurus, it will be encouraging us to say, okay, these are great ideas, but we need to be grounded as well. And we can't ignore what is happening around us. And particularly for Taurus, it's ignoring what our senses are telling us, what our body is telling us.
Yeah,
If we spend too much time in our minds thinking about things all of the time, and again, speaking from experience, if we spend too much time in that place, then
I
we
know.
lose that sense of groundedness, and it can make us feel quite frantic and a bit sort of heady and, I don't know, sort of uncentered, I guess.
That's why people need to watch out also for their mental health in this sense, because it can go really, and there's going to be anxiety, and there's going to be, thought process. So Taurus, yes, because at the end of the day we still need to eat, and we still need to you still use the bathroom. I don't want to be rude, what I'm saying, like we have this these things that we are still humans with this, physical needs, that are just there. So um I like that Taurus reminds us of that. I like that. This is like, I think this is going to be a break. Yeah, we're going to go, and then it's going to be like a little break in May. Okay, take it easy. I like that what you said, and ground us a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and also
Cool.
as well with Venus and Mercury being involved in the squares, I think it's a time when there's going to be quite serious conversations or potentially difficult conversations about our relationships to one another that might be linked to new ideas, new ways of thinking, new sort of perspectives on things. But then it's like, yeah, if you spend all of your time in your mind in the future, you then might be not paying attention to the reality of the relationships that you have in front of you. I think that Aquarius can be idealistic, and sometimes those ideals might not match up with the reality of the situation, and that can cause conflict.
Yes, that, yeah, it's like Aquarius is all about, utopia in that sense. Like this is, as you said, ideal we need to go towards, but then still we're still living in a Saturnian world with
Yeah,
some with boundaries. You can
Mm,
run around like crazy. Yeah. And
mm,
it's going to give us maybe a time to pause and research and understand better, with the square to
mm,
Mercury. Like, okay, let's investigate on this. Like, maybe let's not be just scared because let's see, why are we scared, understanding our fears as well, right?
mm,
Because just being scared because it's something new doesn't, let's understand it. Let's see how we can work with it and investigate more. So yeah, I like that.
mm,
And
mm.
our relationships. Yeah, very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then the big thing in June, I love that.
Mm,
It's near my solar return. So on June 2nd, Jupiter is trining Pluto. Woohoo!
mm, mhm.
1 degree.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
Oh man, I'm so looking forward to this because obviously, and I mean, yeah, it's interesting because it's around my solar return as well. So
Yeah,
big,
so
big year.
what date are you?
So 9th of June,
Okay, I'm 4th. I'm
4th.
June
Oh, yours
4th.
is even closer to exact.
Yeah, it's
Um,
over. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I may be biased because I'm particularly excited for this because I'm a Gemini rising, so Jupiter will be moving into my first house, and it will be immediately sort of kind of having this sort of positive, expansive Plutonian energy involved, which I'm really
Yeah, you're
interested
double
to see.
Gemini because you're double Gemini plus your moon is in Aquarius. It's
Yeah.
just it's you.
It's
This is you.
activating that kind of trying. Yeah. So I think, but in general, I suppose just for all of us,
Yeah.
this is going to be a very key kind of all of the things that have been building up and bubbling away will be kind of coming to the surface, but in a very, very positive way. And maybe if we were to use the volcano kind of analogy again, it's like things have had enough time to completely settle, and now these new amazing plants are growing out of the soil because of because of all the ash and the magma kind of changing the dynamic of the. I don't know that much about volcanoes, I'll be honest, but you know what I mean? Like, it kind of is like changing the landscape. And now it's like, well, what's going to grow out of that new landscape? And that's what, and because it's in Gemini as well, it feels like it is going to be very much in the realm of thoughts and ideas. And it just feels like there's going to be a lot of, thinking and talking and new sort of, I feel like everyone's going to be very like excitable. But I suppose the one thing to be aware of, I mean, this is always the case with Pluto and everything we've talked about today, is that there is a potential for those new ideas, that expansiveness, to be abused by people in power.
That's always, I mean, we always need to be cautious about that, because it's just the way it is. But I'm thinking with Jupiter is about our belief system. Although, he might not be so comfortable in Gemini because he cannot expand as much, because Gemini likes, information and data, not the big picture in that sense. But it can really transform our belief system. Like or like some kind of a seed, something that's happening, on a larger scale, that we kind of think, we don't believe in this BS anymore. Let's, we because with your belief, you give the power. That's what, if you trust somebody and believe in somebody, this is you giving them power, right? So if we take that from whoever governs us, or whoever, doesn't, if we don't believe in that are, here for us, there's a big transformation in that sense. Now it just occurred to me. I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah. I think that June, I think, is going to be a really key time, because also as well, even though Jupiter is in its detriment, it's going to be immediately joined by Mercury. So it's like the ruler's there with it, like kind of like welcoming it in. And it just really gives this sense of like big ideas, new ways of communicating with one another. Really exciting, but very heady, very like within the that sort of air element of the mind and thoughts and ideas.
So Tom, I know you're going to be busy because life, but still I'm going to encourage you to start a course in June.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so
it just occurred to me something, I think you could do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do maybe something more serious in June as well. Because this is, now that I think of it, this is because it's touching our personal anyway things. I think because this is the new way of thinking, new way of teaching. Because Jupiter is also a teacher, right? So
yes,
it's time that we definitely change the school system, and I think it's coming. I think in the next 10 years schools are not gonna be the same for sure. So that I'm not even worried about that. I kind of believe that. How to get
I like that. I think you're right, actually, because the teaching and the school system is very much involved in Jupiterian themes, and I think that
it's outdated. It's so outdated, the way that the kids go to school today. It's not even Montessori is not up to date anymore. Trust me. Like I have a kid. Anyway, it's just okay. Sandra,
and I think. Oh, sorry.
Good luck to both of you with teaching. Thank you, Sandra. See, that's it now. I've said it out loud in public.
We're locked in. That's it. That's it.
We're locked in.
Yeah, and I think that with all of these new ideas coming about, we're going to have, it's going to, the nature of how we teach young people. I mean, already we've seen that, because with the internet and the way that we communicate with one another, the way that we, although there are lots of problems with it, the way that we digest information and process things is so different now, that having just a regular, like, you have to learn all of the information and then you do a test, and then you see if you remember the thing. And I think especially with AI and things like that change it, because one thing that came up last year as well was about being able to use AI to just write an essay.
Oh
And so I
yeah,
think we're going to have to think about, okay, well, maybe just memorizing information and showing that you can memorize things is an outdated way of teaching people. And we need to have a new sense of what is actually going to engage people with topics, and so that they can actually be
yeah.
impassioned about it and learn and want to learn in a way that fits them.
Yeah, like critical thinking, teaching them critical
Mm.
thinking, stuff like that,
Yeah,
something that's useful in life. Not just,
yeah,
I'm thinking also now, because Pluto is transformation, right? And then Jupiter and Pluto together. And Gemini is about contract. It's about legislation. Jupiter is about legislation. So we might
Mhm.
see new legislations regarding many different things as well. So like literally writing new legislations, right? So and
Mm.
interesting, very
Mm.
exciting. No, we need to start teaching right away. This is
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Start planning the course right now. Yeah.
No, that's it. Okay, so we have Mars square Pluto. That's the bummer in June.
Yes.
On the 11th. Yeah, that's it.
Mm.
That's the bummer side. The good side is in the beginning, and then 10 days later we have this. What do
Yeah,
you
and
feel about
again,
that?
so Mars will be in Taurus at that time. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, Sandra.
yeah. Thank you, Sandra, so much. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you. Oh, so
So
nice.
yeah, I think again, it's those themes of like Mars in Taurus. It's going to be kind of like, and in a way that might kind of be helpful. It's a difficult aspect, but it might be a bit of like a whoa, whoa, whoa. I know this is all very exciting, guys. I mean, we're already excited. It's not even happening yet. Like it's like maybe a bit of put the brakes on a bit. Make sure you stay connected to your body
Yeah,
and the
again.
reality of what's going on around you. Yeah.
Yeah, also, when we teach, we have to teach also practical things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm doing a workshop in a couple of weeks. Yeah, no, next weekend. Actually, next week I'm doing a workshop on how to achieve elemental balance using astrology. And I think,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm collecting from many different sources that I learned many different tips for this workshop, how to actually, because we are, as I said, we are a body, we're still tangible, right? We need to, now that we have the knowledge information, what do we do with it? We have to do something, Anyway, yes. Okay, July comes, and then we have oppositions, right? Because it's Leo season. So we're going to have opposition with Mercury, and then Venus, and then it's going to trine and Sun, and then trining Mars. So we're going to have lots of opposition in July because it's Leo Aquarius opposition, but it's going to trine Mars. So we're going to be a different flavor of Mars connections. They're going to have a lot of connections this with Pluto. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's interesting to think about that opposition between Leo and Aquarius, because as you said before, Leo is the king, the sort of the ruler, the one in the spotlight. And I think that there is something I find really interesting about Leo is that there's a theme of like legacy. How can I make sure that what I'm doing now will last the test of time? What will people remember me for? I think that's a really, key thing. And I think that in a way, Aquarius also speaks to that, but it's less about what will the individual be remembered for and more about, how do we go into the future with a sense of what will humanity be remembered for?
Yes.
It's kind of like this, and that's the thing that's interesting about oppositions is it's the same but different. They're kind of trying
Yeah.
to achieve similar things but from different perspectives.
Yeah. I struggle with them, to be honest, the most as a Gemini, because I want to. I wanted both ways, and I just struggle with it. With opposition, for me, it's harder than a square. So with square, I know this is, it just tells me what to do, and it's hard, but I need to do it. With this, I have kind of a choice, but I actually don't. And then what? And then I got stuck, and then not
Yeah,
liking
yeah.
oppositions. But I'm thinking, many of Pluto in Leo people are now still rulers of this world in a way. So this is going to start opposing them, the Pluto
Mm.
position, Pluto. So we'll
Yeah.
see how that. I know that both candidates for American president have, Pluto and Leo, and
Mm.
American elections are coming out this year. It's going to be, anyway, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, how that
Yes.
opposition will work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Then we have in August. Oh yeah, August is the second peaceful month in my case. It's just going to try and Venus at the end, so nothing major is happening with Pluto. Even Neptune is
Yes.
not doing anything. Pluto is not doing anything, just a little bit. So I think that August is also pretty easy.
It's like a breather. It's like, okay.
Yes.
And then back into it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have Venus trine Pluto. That's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how AI, as you said, AI, how will work with art AI art thing. How will
How we
maybe we'll find a
create.
solution. Yeah, maybe we'll find a solution by then. Okay, and then September we have Pluto trine the Sun, and yeah, because now Pluto is already back in Capricorn in September.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have trine the Sun, square Venus, and then trine Mercury, but it's retrograde in this. So what do you feel about the retro? What do you feel about that period? It's going to go back to Capricorn for this 2.5 months, last sense of this.
Well, it's interesting because I only found out about this very recently, because I feel like there were a lot of people who were like, yeah, once it's back into Aquarius, that's it. And then I found out it's almost like people are willing it to happen so much. People are sick of Pluto in Capricorn. But I think it's interesting. I think it's going to, it's kind of like we've had a taste last year, and then this year is going to feel a lot more like really getting into it. But then with that dipping back into Capricorn, there's still unfinished business there. There's still a lot of those power dynamics. I mean, we met, didn't we, towards the end of last year, and we spoke a bit about Pluto.
Yes.
Katrina and
the round table.
Yes, which was great. And I think it means that unfortunately some of those themes around Pluto in Capricorn are unresolved, and there's still yet more to be done. And a lot of that, I think, is around those hierarchical structures.
Yeah. Apparently, now that we mentioned U.S. election, apparently, I think many different, there's like 50 or 60 countries are having election this year in the world. And 10 prominents, like UK. I think UK has an election as well. US, India, Pakistan, Iran, like Taiwan. Like there's a bunch of prominent, countries, world countries are having election this year, and they're all going to have it in fall when this Pluto in Capricorn is in the last degree. So it's going to be like, will this be the last election with the old guard still?
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think you're right, and I think that with it dipping back into Capricorn, it's almost like still kind of grabbing on, like still
they're
there.
not letting go. Like they're on the hill, on the cliff. No, this is the last 8 years I want to be, governing or whatever. So, or 4 years or whatever. So I do feel that maybe the old guard will still win in that sense, and then we won't see the new world as we want it still.
And also, without kind of getting into politics too much, because I don't know loads about politics, but I don't know if you heard in like Argentina, there was like a new sort of kind of left field candidate who's quite an interesting character.
I saw that one. Yeah. Not much. I think
and I think that already we can see that things are starting to break down. There's almost that sense of like people's trust in those hierarchical structures, because Pluto has done it's done its thing and made us kind of question a lot of secrets, and difficulties have come to the surface. And now we're thinking, well, is this really working anymore? And people are going into these elections thinking, what is this for? Like, what is the point of all of this?
Right?
Yeah.
Like what am I even choosing from? Like for me, all this, every time I feel I need to go, I feel like I don't have a say if I don't go. But then, who do I vote for? Because I feel they're all the same. I don't care left, right. They're all this, like it's just different color. I don't want to go I don't want to politicize.
I know, yeah. But no, but I think, I think you're right, and I think that with it dipping back to Capricorn, there's still some of those difficult dynamics around like people who are in power, and what that might look like. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. Okay. So October, we have a square to Mercury. I'm really not gonna repeat a bunch of stuff, but I just want to mention it. Sextile to Venus again. This time Venus is in Scorpio, so we had a Taurus one in the spring and then a Scorpio one in the fall, and square Sun in Libra. We already talked about it. So it's just now we're going a little bit of still cardinal cleanup in cardinal signs. They still have like a last pinch of Pluto for like, come on, can we just go away?
Go. Yeah.
This is the last pinch for Libra and other people. I can't wait for Saturn and Neptune to go to Aries, to be honest. I mean, I have all mutable angles. I have so many mutable. I'm so mutable. And then, I can't wait for them. Just leave me alone.
And also, this is getting ahead of this, not for a while, but that's going to be so interesting as well, because it's a sextile between Pluto and Saturn and Neptune, and it's going to just be, whoa, oh my God, yeah.
Yes, but I'm thinking, okay, I need to learn my lesson. I need to learn, this is now still learning process. I need to go through this hard work and learning until, I can go. So I'm embracing it. I'm just saying I still cannot wait for it to be over.
And I think it's funny, and it's kind of been reflected in the way that we've spoken about it today. But I think one thing to be aware of with Pluto in Aquarius, and especially given a lot of the transits that are happening with Jupiter and things like that, it can get a bit it feels like it's and it goes, and because it's that air element, it feels like it can go very, very quickly.
Yes.
And I think that's just something to be aware of, because sometimes that can tire us out, and it's important to remember to sort of stay grounded, and it's very exciting, but then it can wear our kind of faculties out in the process.
Burnout. It's called burnout, like classic burnout. So we have to watch for that, of course. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. Okay, November. Oh, just sextiling the Sun. That's it. Oh no, and opposing the Mars in Cancer. Oh yeah. So this is like a pre-shadow. Mars is already in pre-shadow. He's going to go retrograde soon, like on 6-degree Leo at the end of in December. So this, I don't like this, because it's 29 degrees Pluto opposing 29 degrees Mars. It's an erratic degree. Mars in Cancer is all about fighting for your country and your family, and it's overprotective. And this is the government. This is this. I don't like this.
Yeah, and I think in general that I'm particularly looking forward to Mars in Cancer retrograde. That's going to be a long time for it to be in its fall, in its detriment. No, sorry, it is in its fall. And yeah, I think that being opposite to Pluto at the sort of beginning of that period, because will it end up opposing it all times? Will it do the three?
Yes, it will be, because later they're going to meet in Leo. I think in 2025. In 2025, I think once that's it. But that's it. I think that's it. Just one more time in Leo.
So that's just, I think that's something to really, obviously that's at the end of the year, but it's like thinking about that theme of Mars opposing and it being in Cancer. It feels like that, again, we're thinking about the final time that it's in Capricorn for a very long time. And for it to finish that period in Capricorn with that opposition to Mars, it feels like it's going out it's not going out easily. You know,
Yeah,
maybe some of what we were just talking about, there might be a lot of conflict and a lot of disruption and unrest, I think.
yeah, it's gonna be warlike because for me, Mars in Cancer is so patriotic. It's the most patriotic Mars. So fighting for your country, and you know, and this is Saturn ruled Pluto in that sense, in the last degree. So it's gonna be, it's all about, and people are fighting for physically the land in some part of the
Yes.
countries. I don't want to mention anything, but I'm saying we know that. So it's literally land. This is Mars in Cancer. It's literally so. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to November, to be honest, at all.
It's a
Not
tricky way to end the year, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of these elections, a lot of this, and you know, the people. Then there's you know, people are, and you know, put secrets. So the secret arrangements, you know, behind the scenes, we don't know what's happening. Manipulations.
And I think I'm right in thinking, aren't I, that so America has been having its Pluto return because
Yes.
it's at it's 29 degrees Pluto.
Yes.
So it's going to have, in election period, America will have its Pluto return for the last time.
Yes.
And opposing Mars in
Nice.
Cancer. Yeah.
And I think, and yeah, and because America has a sun in Cancer, not at least
Yes.
a last degree, but it's still in the same sign.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
November is also one of, yeah, I think February and November are 2 months that are gonna be feisty. Yeah, and
Ones
then
to
end of
watch,
the
definitely.
yeah, and then in the end of the year we're gonna repeat February, Pluto and Venus conjunction in Aquarius, and Pluto is gonna sextile the nodes on the 31st. Because the nodes are going to be first degree of Aries.
Oh yeah.
I have my nodes. I have a reversal. So my nodes are 3 degrees, but a reversal. So I have North Node in Libra. Anyway, interesting. Yeah. So this is the last day of the year, 31st December. Pluto sextiling the node. Okay, let's finish up on that note. What do you feel about that? Not an easy one, I know, but what do you feel?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know much aspects to the nodes. I think that, so obviously it's going to be sextiling the north node and trining the south node.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one in terms of finishing up that period of time, because we'll have had the nodes in Aries and Libra for a while, just before it goes back into and
I know that evolution.
I honestly,
I don't know much, but evolutionary astrologers they always look at Pluto as their first planet, and their connection with the nodes. So they always, that's some kind of evolutionary change. So and these are good aspects. So I feel that that is like we're going to start a new year with a new, like, it's going to clean up and start like because it's Aries and Libra. This is like a last touch, because they're going to change to Virgo and Pisces very soon in January afterwards, right? The shift is going to be in nodes. So I do feel that this is going to be like a last touch of Pluto resolving the relationship that don't work. Who am I? Transforming ourselves in that sense, and starting like a new chapter. I think it's going to be like a closure of this year in a nice way, that we're going to start a new chapter next year. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Tom. This was amazing. I know I could talk to you for days and hours, of course. Before we close,
every time it feels like we could
started. Like, it was only 1 hour and 10 minutes. Come on, we just started. Like, I'm just warming up. But we have to go. Tell me just quickly, do you want to have summarize or give us last thoughts on this Pluto in this year? Just a couple of words maybe to close up.
Yeah, so I think Pluto is the one to watch this year. I think that these transits that we've spoken, particularly in February, but also looking in June as well, to to the Jupiter trine, I think there's going to be a lot of transformation, and it's really worth looking at your own chart and thinking about where that is going to be happening for you and the area of your life that's going to be transforming. And yeah, I think it's really exciting, but I guess the key thing I've been thinking about is it's important for us to having all of these ideas or revolutionary kind of tendencies. I think it is also important to stay grounded as well. And
That's a good advice. Yes,
yeah,
I like
and
that.
again, I say that as someone with an Aquarius
Yeah.
moon, because it keeps staying cool.
I look at it. I mean, I have a moon in Gemini, so tell me about it. I
Yeah.
had to tell you just a little note. I went to my naturopath the other day, and I'm tracking my sleep. Okay, I have my watch, and she was looking at the results. Like I have like 8 nights sleep, but she goes, "But your sleep is not good because." And then because I'm not going from the deep sleep. Anyway, it just my the way this watch is showing up. It's my brain is working while I sleep, and I think no kidding. Oh, Romana! Hi, Romana. She's my student fellow from Steve Judd's group. We still meet every
Hello.
week. Pluto and Leo here came in just where you were discussing this. Looking forward to the crumbling down of the old system globally. Enough of it. Keep these sessions going, please. Great show. Thank you, Romana. And thank you, Sandra, as well, for your support today. I appreciate everybody here, guys. Thank you so much. It means the world to us, as always. Like, subscribe, share. It keeps us moving and going.
Yeah,
And thank you, Tom, for your time and your insights and everything. It was a pleasure to talk to you as always. I want to mention for everybody who wants to listen to Tom more, I have 2 more videos I made with him. We talked about Saturn return, and we talked about our experience, especially Tom going through this right now. And then the second one was on Chiron. Very profound talk. I still watch it sometimes, Tom, to be honest, and make notes.
Oh wow.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
that good. It was that good. So please check it out. It's on my YouTube as well. Thank you again. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a lovely weekend. Take care. Until the next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Jasmina.